Well, let's see how this goes. So, I am going to make a couple predictions. One being that the Flesh and Blood stuff is way too cheap right now. The Tales of Aria first edition booster boxes are like $80. There's no way that that's not going to go up. Also, the reserve list buyout stuff that's happening right now in Magic the Gathering is different than the previous ones, than the 2017, 2018, and even the 2020, 2019. This just, it feels different. It feels like there's a lot more low end cards getting bought up, and I don't think people are just going to flip them. I think they're going to actually hold out and hold on to them for years to come. I think there's enough people who realize that if you just keep buying them and you keep holding them, they're not making more. It might go down. It might start to, but it's most likely going to be trending up. There's no reason for it not to be. And I think there's a lot of people that are priced out of the higher end stuff that we would all like to have, the Moxes and the, Black Lotus and whatever, but we can't afford that. And even the Lion's Eye Diamond, that's, I think, about $250 right now. That's a little much whenever you get, you know, a playset of the 5 fetch lands that came out in Modern Horizons 2, that they're slowly drifting up right now, but you're picking them up for $15 a piece, 25 I think for Scolding Tarn a month ago or so. So people are realizing, well, why buy a Lion's Eye Diamond when I can get a playset of 5 fetch lands that I'm actually going to use in almost every tech in Modern. And then we'll see how Pioneer goes, even though you're not supposed to use the fetch lands. I feel like there's going to be some Pioneer Plus or something like that, because the fetch lands are affordable right now compared to compared to the last like 6 years. And probably in Modern Horizons 3, they're going to reprint the other 5 fetch lands, and they're going to crash to the $15 to $25 for whatever the most expensive one is out of the other colors. So everybody'd rather buy cards that they actually want to play with than buying one moat or tabernacle or something like that we've all heard of. Sure, we'd love to have the Moxes and stuff like that, but we can't afford it. But what we can afford are these other cheaper reserve list cards that eventually they're going to get slowly, slowly soaked up in the market, even though there's 500 and some odd different reserve lists. There's a lot of C tier stuff, but there's not that much of it as it slowly gets just absorbed by people who want to be a part of the reserve list but don't just have thousands of dollars to spend on a single card, or even want to spend hundreds of dollars on a single card when they can be like, yeah, I'll drop $10, get a playset of something, drop $20, get a few, and they're like, and it's been going up. There are no really dirt cheap reserve list cards that I'm aware of anymore that are under $1. There used to be, even in the 2017 buyouts, you could find some of the low end stuff for a quarter, 20 cents. You could get these reserve list cards, and in bulk quantity if you wanted to build a position. that kind of was the time in this lower end stuff. As long as you aren't trying to flip your 20 bucks and make 40, because what's that going to do for you? Nothing. Not really. You might as well hold on to it. If you're going to buy into these cheap reserve list cards, diamond hand it and just hold out for the big money. But I'm going to bring it back around to Flesh and Blood. It's going through an interesting phase, I think, right now. That this is, as far as I know, the first edition box that's actually just crashing, and it's cheaper than the retail 109 out the gate that it was. Sure, the whole Rudy Monarch to 1K thing didn't work out, but I think Monarch's at like 160, 150 right now for the first edition. And Tails it's $80. Like, come on. How's that going to hold? And I don't know what's going to happen whenever the new set drops, I think in February, beginning of February, into January, something like that. About a month and a half, somewhere around there. If there's still Tails on the market, what's going to happen? How is that going to... It's going to crash. That's what's going to happen. Once everybody who wants to play with it gets there just for 109, then there's going to be so much, unless they really cut back on the supply. And people were complaining there was too much Monarch. There's too much Monarch. They're never going to flush it all out. But what? Flesh and Blood's been around since 2019. Like, it's still so young. There's so much of a chance if you are interested at all. And I'd recommend just picking up a box of every set right now, unlimited. Most of them are around $70, $90 a box. All the FOMO's worn off from whenever they said Crew was out of print, as well as Arcane Rising, and I think they've cut off Welcome to Wraith now, maybe? I don't know. But I'm fairly certain everything is out of print except Monarch and Tails. So get it while you can, but I mean, what's going to happen in 3 years from now, 5 years from now? It's going to go up. It's not going to be on the market. It's not going to be available for these prices or even close. The game is only, what, 2 years old at this point? Like, it's not dying. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be fine. And another thing to bring around too would be Force of Will and how that had all its hype and all its craziness. And then they printed Millennia of Ages and buy a box, you got the set kind of thing, and Fire sold it, and for a while you could pick it up for 20 bucks a booster box shipped. I think it's drifted back up to like 40, but nowhere near its market price. And the same with Moon Priestess Returns, that at one point was on TCG Player for like 18 bucks shipped. And nobody wanted it. But now it's slowly drifting back up. Fun thing to get into if you want a cheap, fun game to play, Force Will. But this stuff will slowly rise. I don't think any of these card games are just going to just go away. They'll just make adjustments. They'll adjust the print run. They'll do what they need to do, and they'll just continue to go on. Then people will be like, hey, I want to play some of this older stuff. What? It's the same price as the new stuff? Or it's even cheaper? Well, yeah, I'm going to buy a box of that. Let's play that. And then people are going to come from Magic, more or less, to these other card games. They're going to be like, wait, you can get the old stuff for the same price as the new stuff? Well, why wouldn't I do that? I can buy the new stuff later then. I just don't see any way that this doesn't go up eventually. It might take years on the Flesh and Blood first edition, but as long as there's nothing catastrophic that happens, there's no reason for it to not at least slowly tick upwards in the long term. In the short term, maybe it keeps falling. But right now, it's the day after Christmas. So yeah, I just wanted to get that on video.